Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Markus Willinger. I was asked to speak here today, and I will do that. But actually, I will not hold a full speech now. I will only say a few words. A few words about Europe's probably most important generation ever. A few words about my generation, about generation identity. Europe is dying. And my generation could be the last one. The last one that is able to do something. The last one that is able to change something. The last one that is able to stop Europe from committing suicide. That's why I want to talk about this generation. And I also want to talk about another. I want to talk about the old ones. About those who decided to follow the ideas of cultural Marxism. I want to talk about those who have the power today and who are responsible for most problems we have in Europe. I want to talk about the 68ers. I don't know if this term is used all over in Europe. In the German-speaking countries, we mean with 68ers those guys who rebelled in the year 68 against the traditional system and who stepwise took control over the societies in Europe. I believe that every generation has its own spirit. I believe that every generation has a kind of question to answer or a kind of problem to solve. The 68ers, for example, grew up after the Second World War. They grew up in destroyed cities, especially in Germany. In a destroyed Europe, they heard all the stories about the Second World War and the First World War. And they were strongly influenced by these experiences. So their historical question they tried to answer in their whole life was, how can we prevent new wars in Europe? And it's very important to understand that because we will not understand the political decisions if we do not understand this question. They always try to prevent new wars. Or, as Theodor Adorno wrote it from the Frankfurt School, how can we prevent a new Auschwitz? Especially in Germany, that was a very, very important question for us. So, how did they try to do that? They said, let's eliminate the reason for war. What is the reason for war? According to them, it's inequality. They say the so-called humanity, I say so-called, they say humanity is divided into different groups by social-made differences. So they say humanity is divided into men and women. They behave in different ways, but actually the differences between men and women do not really exist. They are social-made. They can be removed. They also say the differences between Germans and Indians are only social-made. And they believe that if we remove these differences, if we make all people equal, there will be no conflict between these people. They believe if there are only individuals, there won't be any wars. And it's very important to understand that because they try to make us equal in several ways. In the year 68, the 68ers rebelled against the traditional system in a very, very creative way. And stepwise, they took control over the societies in Europe. And they used their new power to make a lot of experiments with those societies. Multiculturalism is one of that. And my generation is another. We are one of their experiments. We are one of their experiments because we're the first generation that grew up without all those things they tried to destroy. We are not allowed to be men and women. We are not allowed to be Italians and Germans. We don't even have a real state. We are part of a global village. And so they removed everything that could have given us orientation in our lives. And that's why we call ourselves generation identity, because that's what we are missing, what we are looking for, what we want more than anything else, our identity. To make that clear, as I see the French people, when I talk about generation identity, I do not mean the political organization GI, about which Philippe Badon will talk later. I mean the generation itself. We are the young ones, and our whole life we were told a lie. The lie that Europe should commit suicide and that we should celebrate the end of our continent. We were told that tradition is needless, that religion is useless, and that loving your country leads to war. We were told that globalization is a natural law and that multicultural society would enrich us. But we do not believe. But we are not convinced, because every day we see the reality, and the reality is different. We see that the multicultural society doesn't work. We see that their experiments failed. We see that all they do doesn't work. And we feel that something is wrong. We miss something. And we want it back. Our European identity. Because they are not... Actually, I'm not over yet. Our European identity. Because they had no right. They had no right to throw it away. This is our question. This is the problem we have to solve. The question is, who are we? And where do we want to go? And the problem is to find our European identity again. Today, Europe is attacked from the inside and the outside. In the inside, it's decay, the lack of values, and the wrong spirit of cultural Marxism that make us weak. On the outside, we are confronted with an invasion of people who do not belong to Europe. Some people believe that we only have to stop the invasion from the outside, to stop immigration, and everything will be okay. But that's not true. We must overcome the decay first. We must find a new spirit. We must find our European identity again. Only then Europe can survive. We are generation identity. We are the generation of decision. We decide if Europe will die or live. We decide if this continent, if our people will have a future or not. If we want Europe to survive, we'll have to fight for it. We'll have to get society back from the left, guys. We'll have to rebel, as they once did. And finally, we will make Europe European again. Not a part of the West, not a part of Arabia, not a part of Asia. Europe shall be Europe again. To bring this continent back to its roots is our mission, our historical quest. The quest of my generation. The quest of generation identity. As you all, I'm looking forward to hear now what this generation is able to do. I'm looking forward to hear the speech of Philippe Badon. Thank you.